Safari Live. I am sitting up in a tree. Why am I sitting up in a tree, you might ask yourself? Well, the answer is, this is the kind of a tree that a small leopard cub would like to lie in. And therein is the clue for this afternoon Safari Live's theme. It is, of course, Tlalamba and her independence, her path to independence. So that's what we'll be focusing on from my position up here. I won't be here very long because although I look very comfortable, I am in fact not. There are bits and pieces of this tree sticking into parts of my body that I shall not mention. Please talk to us, of course, using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or the YouTube chat stream. We'd like to have some character-related questions. We'll be using, or I'll be talking about Tlalamba. Trishala, well, she'll tell you what she's talking about, and Paul is also out here. And David is out in the Maasai Mara. While you ponder on our characters, let us go across to Three Sleeps herself to find out who her characters are for the week.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'm sure it must have been very exciting to start with James in a tree, and I'm doing something less exciting, Trishala in a vehicle and Craig on camera with us. But we are going to be looking around for the Nkuhumas and the Avoca males and see how they're doing, but we do know that they look, or they have appeared to have crossed into a nearby reserve. It's called Simbambili. Off to the northwest, but I'm going to go past there just in case there's a few stragglers or tracks around. That's plan number one. Plan number two, or once I've done that and I still can't find those lions, I am going to help Goli in the east look for some leopards, because Tingana seems to be around and Tandi and Tlalamba might also be around, and Tlalamba is particularly important today because we're going to be chatting about her a little bit more. But if I manage to, and I'd love to, we could have a look and see if I can find her in the east if Goli doesn't have, sorry about that rocky bit, if Goli doesn't have too much luck. So that's what I'll be doing today, searching for our characters and hoping to catch up with them. Of course, I'll also go down to the Juma clan den towards the end of the evening, and hopefully they'll be a little bit better to me because they've been quite sneaky with me. I haven't been seeing them very, very often, which bothers me because I miss them. So I'm now here on the northern boundary, so I'll be searching for those lions and any of their tracks. But in the meantime, let me send you up to the Maasai Mara in Kenya so that they can say good afternoon too.
Hello, and jumbo, everyone. It's such a very warm welcome to a different country and a very different game reserve. We are in Kenya, and of course in the Mara Triangle. My name is David, and come with me today is Archie. Archie, good afternoon, sir. Archie is excited because he's seeing most, or the biggest number of antelopes he has seen in a very long time. I'm sure already James and Trish told you. Questions as usual, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Comments should you have any, because we have the best temperatures of the day here, 27 degrees Celsius and 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And let's see what we got for you to start our episode 46 of Safari Lives. For any epic moments you might have missed last week, just know we're gonna bring it back to you today, so stay tuned and make sure you stay glued to your screens, because what we showed you last week, we're going to show it to you again, and we're going to pick the very best. Now, this is the very famous Mara Triangle. See the savannah, you have seen antelopes there that we call toppies, all the iconic trees of this area that we call the shepherd trees. You see some elephants, I guess, from a distance. I think at one point there was a buffalo. This is just a wonderful spot we got today. And Archie, now we are moving from mammals to birds, and we got ostriches. Isn't this wonderful? It's one area of the Mara Triangle I've not been for a very long time, and I thought today I am not going to the sausages. I am going to stay here and enjoy this. My big plan today is to cruise along the Mara River and find out the levels of the water, because I got very good news for all of you that the levels have come up. And I want to believe also Oli would like to say hello and jumbo to all of you.
Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. My name is Oli, and joining us behind the camera is Senzo Mkize. Hello, Senzo. Fist pump. It's Safari Lives, as you know. We have to look for characters. My characters are Tingana and Tandi. So, for any questions and comments, please send them on hashtag Safari Live or YouTube chat stream, and make sure that they are character-based questions. So I'm on my way to Befasuk Dam. That's the area that's between northeast, and then there's a dam there. So Tingana was last seen there 2 hours ago from Raxon. A guy who's a guide here in Djuma. So Tingana is the Duke of Djuma, who's 13 years of age, and he's a territorial holder of this area. So he was seen yesterday, and then Raxon saw him, I think, today. So I'll be also looking out for Tandi. No, Tandi, she's been hiding these days. Hopefully she'll be giving birth, because it's suspected that she's pregnant. And so now I think and I hope and I believe that I'll find Tingana, because no, it's hot, and then he won't be moving around because of the heat. So no, leopards, they don't like moving around the hot day of. So there's some discussion going on in the tent with James. So let's go and find out what's happening.
Well, there is certainly going to be some discussion going on. You see, I made it out of my tree safely. I climbed down with extreme elegance and grace, just like a leopard. Okay, Sebastian's made it into the tent. That is convenient. Now we are going to take a look at our first clip. This is of the baby Tlalamba, and when she was still in the bosom of her grumpy mother's care. Let me maximize it. Oh, hang on a sec. And pause. Wait a sec. Let me make it nice and big. There we are. And let's go to the beginning. Are we ready? Here we go. Look at that little thing. Now, of course, this is an opportune moment to talk about what the cutest animal in the world is. Many of you would give your vote to that right there, a baby leopard, and you certainly wouldn't have too much argument from me, although I think lions slightly top it. Anyway, there she was, born late November in 2017. This was one of our very first sightings of her. Tristan, of course, found the den, and quite possibly will find the next den, if there is one. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's roll it on. There she is, completely helpless. Now, although she's very, very inquisitive, so let's just pause this. Let's just wait for her to come out here, and then we'll pause it. There we go. Although she's inquisitive, she's completely mobile. She's able to climb at this stage, so she's probably about 6 weeks old now, around about now, so she can climb. And that's crucial. It means that she can get away from something like a hyena or a lion if it's not particularly quick. But she is totally dependent, obviously, on her mother. And we've talked a lot about her learning to hunt, and I'm going to get into that a little bit later. But you can see that she's totally mobile. In fact, probably more so than a leopard, at least than a lion of the same age. She's certainly more agile. She doesn't have that slightly awkward jog that lions of the same age tend to have. There she is. You can see she's already very careful about where she puts her feet. And she's making those lovely little mewling sounds, which unfortunately I don't think we have on this clip. Anyway, there she goes walking off with Mum. Now at this stage, she is absolutely drinking milk almost exclusively, but she will definitely already be doing things like catching termites or grasshoppers or trying to. Certainly, if you've ever owned a kitten, this is what you've got here. They play with wool, they play with anything that moves, and so from a very young age, she will already be trying to hunt little things on her own. And of course those lessons are massively important as she goes forward. Here she's a little bit older now. This looks like she's about 3 months old. Got a little bit of a fright, much more aware. No, she's not quite 3 months yet, I remember the sighting. And interestingly, Claramba, I seem to remember her from the very beginning being relatively independent. She would leave her mum and not follow her when her mother called her. And I remember Tristan once having a sighting of her where she moved away from her mother for quite often. I think that's why we used to call her Rebel, isn't it? We did call her Rebel, didn't we? We called her Rebel Wilson for a little while because she wouldn't follow her mother. So she's shown an independent streak from very early on. I think possibly more than other leopards, but you know, it's not surprising that they have different personalities. It's certainly something that I've seen throughout my history in the bush, is that cubs, even of the same litter, so twins basically, have completely different personalities quite often. Anyway, there her mother is giving her a bath, and you can see completely and utterly dependent on her mum. And the only way for her to protect herself from the elements was to stay in a den or to be with her mother. So that was her first clip. And that period, I think, if I go right back to the very beginning, this period extends all the way, actually, some of the bigger pictures there, to February of last year. So when she was, so 3 months, basically her first 3 months. Then she started to move around a bit more, and then she started to be slightly more independent. Anyway, that was her as a very tiny baby cub, and we shall look at more of her existence as a cub a little bit later in the show. Okay, remember to ask your questions using the hashtag SafariLive. Unfortunately, I can see that we are having some pixelation issues, so what we're going to do is go to a tech loop, fix that, and we'll come back shortly, so please don't go anywhere.